For centuries, people who study the Bible have been wrestling with this giant mystery. The scriptures, they name all these ancient empires. You've got Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome. But the most powerful nation in modern history, the United States, it's nowhere to be found. It's completely invisible in the prophetic timeline. So why is that? In this explainer, we're going to dig in and try to unpack that very question. Think about it. The Bible foretells the roles of countless nations, right? But the reigning superpower of our time is just absent. How can a book that goes into such detail about the final world government say absolutely nothing about America? Well, according to the sources we've looked at, that silence isn't an accident. It's actually a huge clue. Okay, so to even begin to understand America's potential role in prophecy, the sources say we have to go all the way back to the beginning, to its roots. The argument is that from the very start, America was seen as more than just a political experiment. It was envisioned as a nation with a really unique spiritual purpose, built on what many describe as a kind of sacred agreement or a covenant with God. And this quote right here from John Winthrop back in 1630 just nails that idea. He wasn't just being poetic about a new country. He was pulling directly from Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. The whole idea was that America was supposed to be a moral and spiritual lighthouse, a beacon of God's truth that the entire world could look to. And look, this wasn't just talk. They actually tried to build the country on this idea. The Mayflower Compact, that wasn't some political treaty, it was a spiritual mission statement. The very first university, Harvard, was founded to train ministers for Christ in the church. Later, there was a huge national movement to get a Bible into every single home. And what many see as incredibly significant, America was the very first nation to recognize Israel when it was reborn in 1948, which many view as fulfilling a divine role. Okay, so here's the bottom line from these sources. It's this unique spiritual foundation that makes America's absence from prophecy so important. The argument is that if a nation is given such a profound calling, it's also held to a much higher standard. And that right there, that's what leads us straight into this massive debate about where America is headed. All right, this brings us to our first big theory, and honestly, it's a shocking one. The idea is that America isn't missing from prophecy at all. It's hiding in plain sight, described symbolically in the book of Revelation. And the name it's given? Mystery Babylon, a code name for the final, dominant world empire that's the center of global commerce, culture, and ultimately moral corruption. Now, people who hold to this theory will tell you, look, the Babylon and Revelation cannot be the old ancient city. The description just doesn't fit. Prophecy describes a global power that dominates through its money and its culture, not just its army. It's a maritime empire tied to the sea, and its fall isn't gradual. It's sudden and catastrophic. It happens in 1 hour. Those details, they say, don't match ancient Babylon at all, but they sound a lot like a modern superpower. So let's break down what the prophecy says about this mystery Babylon. It's described as this unrivaled commercial powerhouse, so huge that when it collapses, the world's merchants weep because their number one customer is gone. It exports a culture that gets the whole world drunk. It's known for its incredible wealth and luxury. Its power is connected to ships and sea trade, and here's the really chilling part. Eventually, it turns on and becomes hostile to real, authentic Christian faith. And when you look at the numbers, you can see why this theory has some legs. I mean, just think about it. Hollywood movies? They rake in 65% of the global box office, exporting American values and culture everywhere. And get this, with only 4% of the world's population, the US consumes a quarter of its resources. That definitely speaks to that unprecedented luxury in the texts. The sheer scale of that influence is what supporters of this theory say is a perfect prophetic match. Okay, that's a pretty dark and sobering theory, right? But what if that's not the case? What if America's role isn't the villain of the story? What if its purpose is actually to be a protector? And that brings us to theory number 2. In this view, America isn't symbolized as some corrupt empire. Instead, it's seen as a powerful force for good, specifically as a divinely chosen protector for the nation of Israel, especially during the chaos of the end times. This whole idea really centers on this powerful symbol from Revelation 12, the great eagle. In this prophecy, Israel, symbolized as a woman, is being attacked, and she's given 2 wings of a great eagle to fly away to safety. And, I mean, come on, what's the national symbol of the United States? The eagle.
Proponents say that's no coincidence. They argue that no other nation has provided the military and diplomatic protection, the wings, that has allowed Israel to survive against all odds. But here's the twist. There's this really important detail in the story. The eagle shows up, provides this absolutely critical help at a crucial moment, and then, poof, it's just gone from the narrative. It plays this vital but temporary role, and then it vanishes. So the question is, what happens to the eagle? And that question, what happens to the eagle, leads us right into our third major set of theories. That America isn't mentioned in the final act of prophecy because it's already been taken off the world stage. It's not there because it's no longer a superpower. A lot of the scriptural backing for this comes from the book of Daniel. The prophecy describes the rise of the Antichrist, who is symbolized as a little horn. Horns in prophecy usually mean kingdoms or powers. Anyway, this figure comes to power by violently taking out three other powers. The text says they're plucked up by the roots. Some believe the United States could easily be one of those three horns, a major power that has to be eliminated before a new global system can take over. So, what does it mean for a superpower to get plucked up? Well, the sources lay out a few possibilities. It could be a sudden, catastrophic economic collapse that it just can't recover from. It could be a shocking military defeat. Or maybe it's not an outside force at all, but an internal collapse from political division and civil war. Or maybe it's just a quiet surrender of its independence into some new global system. And this is where the strategic logic behind this theory really kicks in. For that one world government system described in prophecy, the beast system, to rise up and demand everyone's loyalty, it can't have any major rivals. And an independent, free America is, by its very existence, the single biggest roadblock to that. So the thinking goes, for that new system to rise, America has to fall first. So when you step back and look at all these theories, the sources all seem to land on one powerful idea. It doesn't matter if you see America as Mystery Babylon, or the eagle that disappears, or a power that gets removed.
In every scenario, the Bible's silence is the point. That silence itself is the message. It's a warning that no nation, no matter how blessed or how powerful, is guaranteed to last forever. The sources we've reviewed point to a timeline like this as a reason for potential judgment. The argument from these sources is that by systematically taking God out of public life, devaluing what they see as the sanctity of life and of marriage, and then rebranding biblical morality as hate speech, the nation has effectively walked away from its founding covenant, which in their view invites divine consequences. But even with all these really stark warnings, the sources always come back to this verse. And they present it not as some political plan, but as a spiritual path forward. The road to healing the land, they argue, isn't found in a new policy or a different election, but in humility, in prayer, and in a genuine turning back to those spiritual roots. And so all of this really leaves us with one final massive question. The sources don't present these prophecies as a done deal, but as a warning. So is a nation's destiny just sealed, written in stone by prophecy? Or is it something that can still be shaped by the hearts and actions of its people? That's the question at the very heart of this mystery.